Hello there. Welcome to episode, I have to check my list here, 49 of the Dodgeball Marketing podcast and video podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm Chris.
Hey,
this guy's Michael. And today we're going to talk about more. The title of this episode is More SEO Tools You Can Use. So I guess we've done another episode somewhere back there of SEO tools. So these are both SEO tools and SEO processes you can use to enhance your SEO. So a lot of these are softwares and tools you can use, but some of them are processes. Michael, I'm going to interview for you. I can't talk. Let me back up a little bit. I'm going to interview you for this one since you're the local kind of SEO guru here. Let's get started. First is local visibility listing tools. So this is mostly for local businesses that serve local areas. But Michael, talk about local visibility tools and what people should use.
Yeah, a couple that we like are SYNUP, SYNUP. Another one is Advice Local. These are platforms that you can use to manage your directory listings. If you're working with Dodgeball Marketing or Dodgeball SEO, and you're in one of our programs, we do this for you, so you don't need to do this in addition. But if you're trying to do DIY online marketing, this is a good thing to know about. Your local visibility, it's really how you appear across, the way I like to say it is maps and apps. So maps and applications that use local information.
So like, let's put like a name on some of those.
Yeah, so a
Yelp
map
would be one of
Yelp
those.
would be an app. It's a very popular app on smartphones.
Maps would be
reviews.
Yahoo Maps, or MapQuest, or
Bing
Google
Maps,
Yeah.
Google Maps, all those. And so, those are different things, and they're pulling data from basically some big data warehouses. And so, if you use one of these tools as an interface to get your data verified and into that syndicated platform, then that gets pulled in to a lot of other websites and maps and apps. And so using one of those is good. You can go and kind of run your URL through most of these types of sites and get a score that says, hey, here's how you're doing, and we can help you. But using one of those is a really good way to make sure that your information is being managed. It's complete, correct information, and it's being pushed out to all the places. We're kind of giving away the secret sauce with this, but this is part of what we do as part of our SEO programs and our SEO packages. But it's a good thing for people to know and understand. And it has the benefit, it has a couple of benefits. One is it creates verified information, so real people are actually seeing it. Yeah. If they're on the Google Maps and they're trying to get to you, they can see a correct phone number, but also it signals to search engines that you're alive and open for business because they see all these inbound links to the website.
Yeah. And the other thing to me it seems like this would do is if you moved. Yeah. So like you could do all this manually. So you could like update all of the maps and apps yourself manually, create an account. But if your business moved locations, you would have to like update 30 different things. But it sounds like with this, you would just update it on the app and it would populate it. Is that right? Yeah,
that's correct. And a lot of maps and apps management comes into play when you have multiple locations. We do a lot of marketing in the healthcare industry for companies that have 5, 10, 20, 25 locations. And so we use a central platform in a way to manage that data so that we're maintaining updated COVID hours, updated summer hours, updated holidays, a change in a URL, a change in a description. We might have services listed in the description. We may want to retire that service or add a new service. And so manually updating thousands of maps and apps listings is not the best way to do it. So we do it through these platforms.
Yep. Number 2, consider using an SEO plugin.
Yeah. This is, I would think of, and the one that is the most popular is for WordPress. It's Yoast. Yoast is a popular plugin, and we're real big fans of
Yoast.
Yeah, Yoast. And another CRM that we use, another CMS that we use, content management system, is Craft. And so there are SEO plugins for Craft. And so they all have different sort of features and benefits. I would treat these as sort of the training wheels of how to think about SEO. A lot of what Yoast is doing is making sure that your target keyword is in your title, and then it's really helping you think about keyword density. And a lot of real SEO folks or Google folks right now would say, if you're talking about keyword density, you're not doing it right. And that's true, except for the fact that it still works. So we can listen to that and smile and nod at them. But in reality, more pages, more keywords works better than less pages, less keywords. Right. So Yoast is a good way to start to get a sense of keyword density and how it works. The trade-off with these tools is they're really doing things that they're better at automating, and they're not good at doing things that they obviously can't automate. A tool is only as good as what the inputs can allow it to do. And so Yoast suffers from those limitations. So it's not the same as having an SEO agency or a real person thinking about your content. So if you're developing content for SEO, you want to make sure that you've got a plan for your keywords for that page of content and utilize your keywords appropriately in your URL, your page title, your if there's a hero area, your hero copy, and in your supporting page content, in your paragraphs, and in links to the page. But Yoast is not necessarily going to do that in as readable a way as a person would. So none of this replaces people, but I would say being conversant with these tools is really helpful in a training wheels kind of way to get familiar with what search engines see when they look at a web page.
Yeah. Great. Number 3 is Google Search Console. So using Google Search Console specifically to fix crawl errors. So it might be helpful first to identify what Google Search Console is.
Yeah.
And then kind of tell people how they might use it.
Yeah. Google's giving web developers and SEO professionals more and more tools for doing their job well. Google Analytics has been around for years. It's the most popular, well-known Google tool. But I would say number 2 after that, for my money, is Google Search Console. Google Search Console is like a monitor of the connection between your website and their search index. Yeah. And so one of the benefits of Search Console is once you claim your website and you have you're sort of connected, you've got Google Search Console and your website connected, you'll receive alerts. So if there's a usability alert, you'll receive an email. And so that's really good. What you want to do is make sure that you've gone through the setup process, and then you just want to start squashing bugs. If you've got any alerts that are in there, it may not be really hurting your business, but you just want to clear them out. It's appropriate. With a lot of SEO, we say the work is never done. I saw an SEO professional said it's like house cleaning. It could always be better, but it might be done for today, or you do a little bit every day. SEO is that way, but with Search Console, I would say that you want to get this to 100%. If you have Search Console telling you something is a problem, go ahead and treat it with your web developer as a this has to be fixed type situation. Now, as they've gotten more robust, they've started to identify things that have more to do with preference, but these are factors that impact SEO. So if you have elements that are too close together, or you have some different things that are just not fitting what they think is good SEO, they're going to tell you about that more now with Search Console than in the past. But I would say just go ahead and treat it like it's Google's world. We just live in it, and get your website into alignment with Search Console. Yeah. Some of the other things real quick. Some of the other things it's going to give you is whether or not you're getting correctly indexed, and if you have new pages, new content, and you want to make sure that that's being indexed, you can go and use Search Console to see some of that stuff. So this is different than Google Analytics. It's not redundant with Google Analytics, and it's a little bit like what we used to do is use Google Analytics for sort of seeing what was happening after a site was live and it was indexed. But we would just go out and behave as a consumer in the search tool in Google, just do a search to see if a page was getting indexed. So we used to have to go do things like get a string of text and publish a unique string of text to the page, and then go submit the URL to Google through a URL submit page that was kind of wide open and not really managed. Yeah. And then go see if we could do that search in quotes and get that page to come up. And that was how we could verify to know that a page was indexed. Well, now we can go in and have a lot more control over where we are with the index, both for new pages and for for entire new websites.
Yeah.
And so, Google Search Console is really great.
Cool. And number 4, this is going to sound really similar, I'm guessing, to
Right.
Google Search Console, but Bing has a tool called Bing Webmaster Tools that can give you the similar kind of errors and site crawls and things like that. So anything different to people? Am I correct in that? Like,
Yeah.
Bing, okay,
That's it.
So talk
Yeah.
about Bing Webmaster.
Yep. So, and we'll treat this one with a little less. If you're watching this section as a clip in Bing Webmaster Tools, I would also watch the clip on using Google Search Console. That's part of this episode, or just watch the whole episode and you'll get it all. But Bing Webmaster Tools is a totally separate install and setup from Google Search Console. And the reason it's called Bing Webmaster Tools is basically that it used to be Google's product used to be called Google Webmaster Tools, and it became Google Search Console. So Bing Webmaster Tools is a separate tool. Totally load Bing Webmaster Tools and get your websites set up to be connected with it and monitor for errors. And if you see a problem, if you have something that comes in, go ahead and treat it like this has to be fixed. I would say that any issue you have with Google or Bing, you want to treat it just like Red Alert. Bing identifies these things as they happen, and you can get set up to get alerts in the same way that you can with Google. And it's a different set of requirements. It's not. I would say, in my opinion, I think Google's been a little bit more robust in equipping websites. They were sort of, they were sort of internet native, whereas Microsoft came into it later in the game and was later to develop their own browser, even after Firefox. I think it's going to look and feel different. It may feel a little bit like a non-event, and a lot of times if you're fixing things for Google Search Console, it'll also correct it for Bing. But go ahead and treat it like this has to happen sort of install and set up and process.
Yeah, great. Number 5, fifth and final. More SEO tools you can use is a CDN or content delivery network. Michael, what is a CDN, and how is it different than, say, like a shared hosting plan with Bluehost or HostGator or some of those things? I actually don't think I know the difference between those. Yeah,
one of the sort of these things have been around for a while. I've been using these. Gosh, I'd have to say at least 10 years. And I'm just checking in my notes here, but Cloudflare is one of the ones.
Probably the biggest one.
So just a note here, many use Cloudflare for what it offers in speed and security, but there are numerous options to determine budget and priorities. What a CDN is doing is it's spreading your content around the planet to servers that are closer to the user, physically closer, and that are just set up to drop that asset out to the internet at lightning speed.
The closer you are, the faster it's going to load.
Closer you are, the faster you are. Yeah, and this doesn't change or offset or take away any of the other things that you could do to improve your website. So if you have an image that's too big that's on your website and you need to shrink it down, get it right-sized for the display area, that's still true. So this isn't a magic bullet that solves bad SEO in other areas. But what it does is it gets your entire library of assets out to where they can be served faster. And there are different ways this can be implemented. There are a lot of different settings and features of these networks. And they don't always have a real big bang for the buck. It depends on your business. But I would say that if you're doing something that is asset heavy and you're serving
if you're a local news station that's got a bunch of video,
it'd be worth looking at, but sometimes it's going to be harder to get the benefit out of it for different situations. Yeah, but I would say the way I would treat a CDN, because at the end of the day, this is a cost-benefit analysis. These things carry cost to use them. So what you're going to have to do, and you can roll out these programs and negotiate to not get into a 12 or 24-month deal with them, but try to run it and see and test your page speed before and after. And also you can do some analysis with these vendors and ask them, what are you willing to tell us that our page delivery is going to improve with your platform? They'll have their standard stuff, but they need to be able to tell you, yes, we're going to be able to help you before you commit the cost. But yeah, if you're doing something like e-commerce, you may have not just one product image, but you may have 5 or 10 different images for a particular product. And if you do, you really want all that loaded up so that when the user gets around to clicking image 2, image 3, image 4, all that stuff's already been served and loaded. And so the faster that can be, the better. So this is a really big factor for e-commerce sites. It's a really big factor, I'd say, for high traffic websites, Chris. And then where those hosting companies come in, I would say faster hosting is better too, but it's a separate issue.
And if you're using a platform like Shopify for e-commerce, Shopify's already got that taken care of for you.
So depending on what you're using, you may already have this box checked. So, and that's really more of a web developer question. But you don't have to do it for every situation, but in a lot of situations, this is one of those little tips and tricks that can make the difference.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this episode. Please follow us on, Michael, Dodgeball SEO on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the places where content happens.
Yeah. Subscribe and like and drop your comments below as always. Thanks, everybody.